Hi guys, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel Leela WebDev. In this video, we will learn about the Docker introduction. So what is the Docker and all those things we'll try to learn in this video. So in this video, we'll see about the Docker overview and why we have to use this Docker and what kind of tools that are available in the Docker supports and which tool we have to use to create a container. So these are all the things we'll try to learn it in this video. As per the Devops principle, we have to build, test and deploy the application in a fastest way. So this is the DevOps principle. For example, you are developing a product for a client. First, we have to write the code using some particular X language. So here X language means any language. Any language you can take after that particular code was written. So any language you can take it. After that particular code was written, we do some static code analysis. Then we will compile the code. That means we will build the code and then we will do the testing and then we will do the deployment. So this is the actual DevOps cycle. So that means here what I am trying to explain you is, so whenever we have an application that was developed using a particular language, let's say Angular or Node.js or anything, any language. So first we will do some static code analysis and then we will compile the code or build the code, whichever it may be. And then after building the code and compiling the code, so we will do the testing. And if everything is working fine means then we will do the deployment. So this is the actual DevOps cycle. When we have this kind of culture running right now in the organizations, we have to find some common tools that we have to use so that developers and the operation team can sit together and find a common platform to run the application. Why? Because if you don't like that, developers will say that the code has been working fine in the local or in their local environment. They have tested it, and when it comes to the deployment, they will be saying that it may not work as per the expectations. So this is the common scenario which we will be having. So normally the developers will say that when they are working in the local system or anywhere, it's working fine and we have tested it, everything is working fine. But when we are coming into the production deployment and all those things, so they may be complaining that this is not working fine as per the expectations. So that's why we need to find a common tool so that in the local and the development environment and the deployment environment, everything must have a common platform. So in order to avoid these kind of gaps in the DevOps culture, so we have to find a common tool where we have to test the code, we have to build the code, and then we have to run the code. So for that, Docker is the right solution or container is the right solution for this kind of implementation. So that is the reason Docker comes into the place where the container and all these things is the right solution for this kind of implementation. Docker container technology was launched in 2013 as an open source Docker engine. So first it was started in like this. In 2016 they have used it for their internal purpose. After that they have made it an open source which is named as Docker engine. So first of all they have used it in their local internal purpose. Then afterwards after the 2016 or something like that, they have made it as an open source which they have named it as a Docker engine. So now we can download, we can install, we can play around, we can do some particular tasks, we can create a container, we can build the image and we can deploy our application. So like this, these are all the things they have been doing all the things. After a few years later, they have made it a product version and community version as well as licensed and non-licensed version. So that means they have released into a product version and community version. That means licensed version and non-licensed version, they have released it. Docker platform provides multiple tools like Docker Engine. In Docker Engine, we have two versions. One is Community Edition and another one is Enterprise Edition. Community Edition is nothing but everybody can download and install, which is called as an open source. So here, Docker platform provides multiple tools like Docker Engine. And in the Docker Engine, we have two versions. One is Community Edition and another is Enterprise Edition. Community Edition is nothing but everybody can download and install it. That is nothing but open source. Whereas the Enterprise Edition is nothing but you have to purchase a license key where you will get a support from the Docker community. So Enterprise Edition is a licensed version. If you purchase the key, then you will get a support from the Docker community. Next one is nothing but Docker Desktop. So the next tool which I want to discuss is the Docker Desktop. This is used if you want all the features of your Docker in one particular platform, which means one particular tool. So if you want to have all the features of the Docker in one particular tool means then you need to use the Docker Desktop. If you want to run some Kubernetes containers which is called as a pods, which we'll discuss later in our videos. So if you want to run some security and it has to be much faster, patching, bug fix, these are all the things if you want to run means everything should happen automatically means then you have to go for the Docker desktop only. No, if you want to do it by yourself, then go for Docker engine. So these are all the things if you want to do it automatically means Kubernetes containers, patching, bug fixing and all those things. You need to go, you can go for Docker desktop. But if you want to do it all by yourself means then you need to go for Docker engine. In Docker engine also we have two versions which I have told you already before, community edition and also enterprise edition. Next one is nothing but Docker Compose tool. So the next one is I am discussing is the Docker Compose tool. If you want to do some orchestration on Docker engine, we have a tool called Docker Compose. So what is this orchestration? I will try to explain you. Orchestration means where we will write a file and we will tell what we want to do, what kind of containers we want to create, what image we want to use it for a container, what volume I want to use it, what port forwarding I have to do. All these particular details and all those things I will write in a file. So that particular file I will send as an input to my Docker engine. This mechanism is called as an orchestration. So that means that we have a Docker engine and what is the type of container we have to create, how many volumes we need to create, and all those things we will write in a one file and we'll pass it as an input to the Docker engine. So that mechanism is called as an orchestration. So that means writing a file and giving it to the Docker engine is called as an orchestration. This particular job is done by your Docker Compose. So that is what I want to explain you. The next tool is nothing but Docker Swarm. So before Kubernetes came into picture in 2014, earlier we used Docker engine to create a cluster called as Docker cluster. It is so easy to configure, but we don't have so many functionalities what Kubernetes is providing because we have less contributors to the Docker Swarm. So that's why you don't have those many functionalities with the as Kubernetes. That's the reason we don't use much functionalities. That's why we are not using this Docker Swarm nowadays to create a cluster. So Docker Swarm is nothing but, so in order to create a cluster we'll be using. Next one is nothing but Docker engine. So the last one is nothing but Docker engine. It is a tool from the Docker used to build, spin and share the containers. If you are using Docker engine, you have to configure, you have to maintain, you have to update some security patches, you have to monitor your images from security vulnerabilities. All these things you have to do done by yourself only if you are using a Docker engine. But Docker engine is the actual tool which we are using to create containers and to run the containers. So Docker engine is the actual tool. Docker engine runs on different platforms like virtual machines, bare metal, cloud, desktops, any desktops which is running on any OSS operating systems like Windows, Linux or Mac or anything. So the Docker engine can run on any different platform. I can run my Docker engine on virtual machine. It can be Oracle VirtualBox in your local system or any cloud, or I can go for bare metal server. I can directly install Docker engine or Docker desktop on the bare metal server, or I can go for the desktop version in Windows or Mac OS. That means Docker engine is a cross platform. So I can install it anywhere I want it. So that's why I have explained all the different possible scenarios. So that means you can understand that Docker engine is a cross platform. Since Docker engine is a platform independent, we can migrate the container from one platform to another platform. So we can migrate the container from one platform to another platform. The meaning of this is today we have Windows laptop. Let's say that you have a Windows laptop and I have installed Docker desktop in that one. Why? Because Docker desktop will work only on the Windows platform. And I have created a container. That container I want to migrate to it, let's say Linux platform. So that means I have a Docker desktop in Windows laptop and I have created a container in the Docker desktop. Now I have another system which is a Linux platform, Linux OS, and I want to migrate that container into this Linux platform. Means I have another Linux diagram and in that I have installed Docker engine. I can migrate the container from Windows to the Linux platform without any issues. That is why that is the reason why Docker engine is a platform independent tool. So that is one thing. Next point is that we can run any application developed by any language on the Docker engine. So any application developed by any language we can run in the Docker engine. I can run small scale applications to the large scale application like Hadoop Big Data. Also I can run small applications like Memcache, Nginx application or Apache web server. So this is all what about the Docker engine and the Docker thing. So hope you understood about this Docker concept. I will be providing this PPT under the description below, the link. So for more details, you can watch that link and all those things. So if you have any doubts or any suggestions, please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you.